Hello, duelists. Last night I did something really cool. I'm going to jump in a moment, but I want to quickly say if you find this video cool, I'm going to try to do more like them, kind of funny, quirky things. Consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. This is incredibly unlikely to pull off. So the story is last night I was watching some television. I opened the game on mobile and I said, hey, let me play Exodia. Let me see if I can get Exodia on the first turn. Very, very unlikely to do, even with an optimal deck, and probably good for the game that it's not that easy to do, because you wouldn't want people doing that. It's not, you're playing a little bit of solitaire. I totally acknowledge that. And I was able to do it. I pulled it off on the first turn. Deck optimized for it, and later on in this video I'll show the deck list, but not only did I do it once, I did it twice in a row in consecutive duels. The likelihood of that is incredibly low. And I will say I don't think it was really luck either. It was luck to get kind of the cards I did, but it's not like I just drew, the 5 cards in my opening hand and that was it. I had to cycle through almost all of the deck, and in both times, the cards that I needed, the Exodia cards, are, at least the final piece was pretty much towards the bottom of the deck. So I'm going to go through and show both of the duels, and at the end of the video I'll show the full deck list here. It's on the right side of the screen, but I'll kind of walk through a bit of the strategy behind it. I'll talk through a little bit of that as we're going, but as you can see here, just to prove that it's completely legitimate, we have Rich, and I don't know how to pronounce the name obviously here, but we have 3 characters in the name, so these are the last 2 duels I had. To go back, I have to go into replays because I saved them that way, and we have Rich, and we have the three characters there. So I'll click in, give a little bit of commentary as we go, but I was just so thrown off guard by this happening here, and it was pretty incredible. So a little bit with the strategy with the deck is you don't want 25 card, or I'm sorry, you don't want Exodia pieces in your hand immediately when you're starting. It sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but the reason for that is because you need to be able to have cards that you're cycling to draw. So right here, I have 1 Exodia piece in my hand, that's enough to work with. Cup of Ace is obviously very risky, but high risk, high reward deck in general, and there you go. So the spellbook cards are really nice. They can help you to draw as long as your opponent isn't interrupting them. So I get the Cup of Ace, I get to draw 2. I'm using the spellbook so I can keep drawing here. And the Convert Contact is really, really helpful if you can get any Elemental Hero, Neurospatian cards in your hand. So I'm cycling through those. I get the second Cup of Ace, and luckily, we do not hit. But what we can do is play next, and what next does is allow us to bring 3 monsters from the graveyard back out, and Space Gift there allows us to draw 3 cards, and here we are. First turn, bring it out. The deck flows nicely as long as you get a pretty good first hand to work with, and as you notice, not both Cup of Aces hit. You don't even need that. It does make things easier, but it can flow pretty well. And this is funny because this is Yugi and Kaiba. The original first episode of Season 1 of Duel Monsters, Yugi plays Exodia against Kaiba, and that's exactly what I did here. So that was the first one. I was in awe. I thought that was so awesome to pull off, but it wasn't the only time that it happened. The second time was right after in the very next duel against a player, King of Games every month. No slouch against Yugo, so it's a little bit funny going second here, I believe I did. So my opponent, if I recall correctly, brought out Crystalline Dragon, so like I wouldn't have even been able to activate the spellcaster monster, the spellbook monster's effect if I had to. Luckily I drew him here, so I knew that I could still use Spellbook of Knowledge to draw. Like, this is an optimal first hand. I don't have any Exodia pieces in it, but I can use Convert Contact to discard the Flame Scarab, remove a card from the deck, so shorten the deck that way, and then draw 2. So really, really good there, and obviously just use Spellbook of Knowledge to discard the other Spellbook card and draw 2. So again, you don't really want Exodia pieces in your hand to start off, unless you're going second and you somehow draw all 5. Fantastic, but odds of that are even beyond what I pulled off here. I'll click here to just skip and save a little bit of time. But the other challenge is just with doing this in general, with trying to play Exodia, is you have to play with Yugi and use Grandpa's cards as a skill. That's the only way to get the Exodia pieces. You can't get them from packs or anything like that. Now, what that means is you have to have a 20-card deck, and then the skill adds another 5 cards. So it's not like you can play a 15-card deck and then add the cards. you basically have to make your deck 25 cards, and obviously the odds of pulling the 5 cards then are much lower from doing that. So as we see, we're going to play the Spellbook card, we're drawing, we're going to use Convert Contact, we can keep drawing. Now we have next. All we need is that Space Gift, we pulled it off, we can get the 2 other Neo Space monsters in the field. We're going to be able to draw 3, we can draw another 3, we get the 2 Cup of Aces, so if we can hit one of these, we're in great shape. We hit this one. We only have 1 Exodia piece right now, but we get the other Space Gift, we draw 3, and I think this has to hit for this to work, and it does, and this is probably it right here. Ta-da! Voila! Back-to-back first turn or single turn Exodias. Again, I don't know what the odds of doing this are. They are very low. It is not consistent. This deck is not set up to allow you to survive should you have to go into your second turn. There's not really, in my opinion, a reason to play an Exodia deck where you're playing defensive, because if you're playing defensive, that means that it's a lot harder to draw the cards that you're looking for, and at that point, there's really no reason to be playing Exodia. So I'm going to go and I'll click into the deck just to show it off. In my opinion, this is the optimal way to play Exodia right now. These are pretty much all old cards, because it's not something there's a lot that comes out for. I know that Solomon Moto is in the game right now, but we have our spellbook cards. Obviously, everything in here is designed to help us draw, so the 3 of those you can work through. We have a bunch of Neospatian monsters. Those are going to work for both Convert Contact, which we have 3 of them. This is going to allow you to discard 1 from your hand if you have no monsters in the field, and also discard 1 from the deck, stay short in the deck, and draw. Really, really powerful there. And then I was doing first turn here, but if you were to have to survive, Glow Moss can be really, really helpful because there's a chance that it can stop your opponent's attack phase, which is fantastic. So really what we want to do is discard, draw, and then we can get, you can use next to bring out 3 of any of the Neospatian monsters onto the field. You can do only 1 by each name, so when you mill or discard from your hand, you want to try to make sure you're not just doing Glow Moss over and over, but we have 5 different ones to choose from. After that, we can use Space Gift, and hopefully we can draw into a few of those. And if we have 3 monsters in the field, this is going to allow us to draw 3 cards, so as you can tell, these things chain together very nicely, and if you get more than 1 of these, you're looking at 6 to 9 cards just from that alone. Works really, really well, again, if chained properly, or if you just get the right draw, I mean. And last of all, we have 2 Cup of Aces. We get the flip, and we can draw 2 cards if you end up with 2 of them in your hand. Even if you hit 1, that draw 2 advantage is incredible there. So I want to be very clear. I do not recommend playing this deck if you're looking for a deck to try to get to King of Games with. It's probably impossible. Not like literally impossible, but from a likelihood standpoint, it's probably impossible to do that. It's fun if you want to fool around and try to pull this off. The game wouldn't be a good game if this was easier, because it would be a little bit toxic, to be quite honest with you. And the last thing that I'll quickly mention is the extra deck is not used. I just threw some Link monsters in there for the fun of it, but they're never used. If you don't get Exodia your first turn, you're probably in trouble. If you can get Glow Moss out, that's going to be your best friend there, and then just next can help you to load your board if it gets wiped. But like, if you're playing in a normal way against Orcust, against Speedroid, against any reasonable deck, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So that is what happened. That I was incredibly unlikely to get 2 one-turn Exodias back-to-back, but I pulled it off. I wanted to make sure this is entertaining content. Let me know what you think below. I'm not going to be sitting here playing Exodia all month through ranked or anything like that, but this was super duper cool, so I hope this has been enjoyable for you.